Angie Nixon, I think, is a rising star if the Democratic Party in Florida would get its crap together and start to promote people like her. But she's been taking a principled stand on things like the war crimes in Gaza, and then, on other things as well, because the Republican Party in Florida is just so empowered and out of control. But you'll recall that Ron DeSantis and the Republicans down in Florida were just so impassioned about defending kids from groomers and just making sure that kids are safe, right? I mean, kids have to be safe when they go to school, or if they have a job after school, they have to be safe there from the scary gays. But maybe not so much, because this is her essentially introducing a resolution, an amendment to a piece of legislation in the Florida state government that would require employers of 16 and 17-year-olds to maintain records of sexual harassment so that parents can see them, and Republicans in Florida voted it down.
Yeah, can you say, maybe every business should have to have this sort of thing registered?
But especially in this instance, absolutely, given the hypocrisy.
And
here,
what happens
obviously.
at these lower places that employ high school kids? Yeah. Let's watch.
Yeah, this one, everyone should be on board. This one requires an employer who employs 16 to 17-year-old children to maintain a record of workplace sexual harassment incidents and provide such report to the parents of any 16 to 17-year-old employee upon hiring. I don't know why anyone would not vote to ensure, again, that our children are safe and in a work environment that is free from sexual predators. We talk a lot about parental rights here in Tallahassee, and this is key. This is critical to maintain, the safety of our children. That's the amendment.
Are there questions on the amendment? Questions on the amendment? Seeing no questions, having no public testimony, is there debate? Debate on the amendment. Representative Escamani, you're recognized in debate.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think it's important for the members to remember that some of the places of employment that have the highest rates of sexual assault are the service industry, and harassment, of course. And so creating an environment where more 16, 17-year-olds are working these spaces does create vulnerabilities. Especially if the legislature hasn't championed policies to prevent sexual harassment and assault. And so I do think ensuring that there's a notification process when that happens is very important. I have no doubt that everyone here doesn't want to see young people or any person experience such harm. But the reality of that is when you are a tourism destination like ours, we have high human trafficking rates and we have experiences like this. And I think to protect our youth, it's really important to ensure that we have some sort of mechanism in place, and I think this is a good step in that direction. Thank you, Chair.
Is there further debate? Seeing no further debate, Representative Nixon, you're recognized to close on your amendment. Having waived close, all those in favor of the adoption of the amendment, please signify by saying yay.
Yay!
All those opposed say no. No. So the amendment fails. Seeing 5 hands.
You hear
no explanation.
Female voices and names. Right.
I mean, the reason why I think something like this doesn't pass is they don't want to establish that there should be any accounting for sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues. The other issue is, again, they also don't want a mechanism that exists outside of parents, because they know that in a lot of these instances, the victims of these sexual harassment are immigrants or are, children who don't necessarily have parents or guardians who are either there or, engaged. I mean, so they don't want, what they really don't want is that there is an existence of a record of sexual harassment at a location, because they don't want businesses to be held accountable.
It's about child labor, right? I mean, we saw this in Arkansas where Huckabee Sanders ended up signing that legislation that would have not required certain kinds of paperwork in order to hire child labor. So for it to go under the table, essentially. And as you say, Sam, that primarily affects kids who are outside of formal systems, like kids who are here without documentation. But it also reminds me of in Florida what we covered maybe a few months ago, right? I guess this was in September when Ron DeSantis signed that legislation mandating that employers with 25 or more employees impose penalties on them for if they employed people who were illegal migrants or who are here without documentation. And then you go to that after it was passed and signed by DeSantis, there was that meeting, right, that was hosted by a bunch of business folks basically complaining and saying, how dare you put this burden on me? We want to be able to hire these people. The Republicans have no problem, none whatsoever, with illegal migration and immigration. They just want the people that are here to be in as precarious of a position as possible so that they're the most susceptible to exploitation. And that includes doing whatever they want in terms of sexual harassment, but mostly for their labor and everything that goes along with that. But, okay, groomers. Thank you. Thank you for protecting children. I thought that was what you cared about. It's sad.
We should just say on that Dave Rubin clip, that was Isabel Brown, who works at that same place at Tenet Media.
Oh, they didn't give her a profile page, I guess.
No profile page. Minnesota Teamster also had the point of like, you make $49,999, you don't pay any taxes, and then you make $50,000 and you're paying 18 or 12% or 16%.
I mean, I'm sure Dave has thought about those sorts of problems because he wrote a whole book on this.
I mean, there's always a sort of like, you always run into in every program, right? That is not universal. Whether it's from a taxation standpoint, $1 puts you over into a higher tax bracket, or $1 makes you ineligible. If you're going to have means testing or in any type of like policies like that, that's always going to be a problem. It would be better, obviously, to have all these programs universal. That's why you do it, so you don't have that drop off. But yes, it is astonishing how little thought goes into what they promote.
Yeah.
Really impressive in that respect.